and welcome to another evening of frank conversation here on Hard Copy. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf. It's day 5 of the global 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. The program was launched some 28 years ago by the First Women's Global Leadership Institute, held by the Center for Women's Global Leadership at Rutgers University. Today, it's estimated that over 6,000 organizations participate in this campaign in over 187 countries. The theme for this year is ending gender-based violence in the world of work. Well, it's a little different here in Nigeria, as yes, we're one of the 187 countries participating this year. I think we've done that before. But we launched ours in a most remarkable way. A sex offenders register, long in the works, finally saw the light of day. But what is this register all about? Who will be defined as a sex offender? Where can victims of gender-based violence get help? And how is this campaign going to get down to the grassroots to address this topic, which is oftentimes shrouded in secrecy and pain? I'm being joined tonight by lady and gentlemen. My guests, I'm trying to quickly get their names now. I know that it is right here somewhere. Yes, I have with me Toyosi GIWA in the studio. I also have with me, yes, you are the chairperson, beg your pardon, Secretary of ROLAC. And I also have with me Mr. Abdulrahim SHAIBU, who is the DG, who is the legal director at NAPTIP.
Sure.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for having
Hard
me.
Copy tonight.
Thank you.
Well, sorry for that little glitch there, but the problem is deep. And some will say that yes, this sex offenders register is welcome, but not without its controversies. So the first question will be, who will be regarded as a sex offender?
Well, I will take that. We're happy to have this sex offenders register in place. Actually, it is from the enactment of the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. Section 1, subsection 4 of it provides for sexual offenders register. The reason why is that the issue of rape and sexual violence, has really permeated the length and breadth of Nigeria, and the federal government and the state government and the local government are so concerned that this issue should be addressed critically. So the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act of 2015 provides for the sexual offenders register, and luckily enough, it was launched on the 25th of this month by the Vice President of Nigeria. That's to show the political will. Those who will be in the register are those who have cases of rape, reported to NAPTIP or to the police or to the civil defense, to any other law enforcement agency. Once you have a case reported against you that you have actually raped someone or you have violated somebody's another person, maybe particularly women and children, your name will come up. Secondly, if there are cases instituted against you in the court, and eventually the case could not be concluded due to technicalities, your name will still come up. If eventually we're able to try you in court and you are eventually convicted, every particulars about that person will be in the register. The face, the fingerprint, the height, the color of the eye, every particular that will be able to identify that person with in any part of the world will be in that register. So the register is actually meant to serve as a deterrent, and to name and shame, to bring out these people, these perpetrators to the eyes of the public. And the register is also going to be very much informative for those who will require orders for services, particularly domestic servants, either to be as a cook, to be as steward, as drivers, whatever forms of work, including institutions such as schools. If you want to employ people as teachers, you need to do background check on them. This register will be very useful to you because it is going to be very interactive and very robust. You can interact with it because it is web-based, it is online. So you can click, if you have a smartphone, you can get information from it quickly. And we'll be able to respond to you in real time because whatever information you have, you want, you will get it there. And interestingly enough, that register is also a reporting tool for those who want to make reports of cases of violence. Any part of Nigeria, if you're able to access it and you are able to inform us that this is something is going on here that is untoward against someone, we're able to respond to it within 24 hours.
I'm already seeing, though, some loopholes that some people might describe as legal loopholes. Because the fact that you're reported immediately could earn your name. You know, a register.
Very well. I will explain that. I will explain that. The accessibility to those who have been reported against is limited. The only one that is going to be in the eyes of the public, that will be in the public domain, are those who have been convicted. Because once you have been convicted, you have no right again. You know, everything is there. But if matters are reported against you, we keep record of it, and it is meant for purpose of investigation work, you know, for sharing of intelligence and information between NAPTIP and other law enforcement agencies for our work purpose. But if you want to do background check, we also require you to pay a token of maybe 1,000 naira. It's not maybe, it's 1,000. You know, for you to be able to access it, you know, so that we can give you information.
The names of those who have been reported.
Reported, yes.
And those who have been convicted.
Convicted, yes.
As well.
Very well.
Well, the sex offenders register is just more than that. There's also a program to provide support for those who have been victims of sexual-based violence, which you know very much about because you happen to head you know, the coordination of this centers. Am I right? I hope I'm getting this.
Yes, thank you, Mark.
I hope I'm getting this right and not mixed up. But tell us about these centers. We understand they're about 11 in number?
15, actually.
Oh, 15. Up to 15.
Just to add quickly to what Mr. SHAIBU has said, the Sexual Offenders Register is not just a register of sexual offenders who have been convicted and cases that have been reported, but it's also a service provider register where you can actually access a list of services that anybody who has suffered rape or sexual assault can access that service provider register and find help that is nearest to them to be able to access it. So in addition to being a sex offenders register, it's also a service provider register.
No.
Yes, so going back to the centers that my program coordinates, the European Union is supporting a network of 15 sexual assault referral centers across the country. And what these centers do, why they are called sexual assault referral centers, is really because of the services that they provide. In terms of the fact that they are a one-stop shop or a one-stop facility where anybody who has suffered sexual assault, rape can go, access immediate emergency medical treatment, access counseling, access support to navigate the legal system, you know, and also the good thing about it is that in the past where you have cases where people report rape, but police are at a loss of what to do because the evidence to prosecute the cases effectively in court is not there, the centers also document injury, they take history, and they put all of that inside the medical reports that can aid effective prosecution of rape cases in court. So in addition to being a service where people can go immediately after the incident has happened, where they can get medical support, where they can get counseling support, social welfare support, it's also a route to the justice system to ensure that the survivors of sexual assault get justice for what has happened to them.
So we understand, I mean, you've already said there are 15 centers, and from what we understand, the state governments are supposed to take over the centers. Is that right? Yes. Are you seeing the sort of enthusiasm which you should see on the parts of state governments? Yes, we know that 2 states before now, Lagos and Ekiti, have both launched their own sex offenders register. But aside these 2 states, are you seeing a kind of enthusiasm from state governments to key into this program and see how they can be a part of the campaign to end sexual and gender-based violence? Is it something you're seeing?
Yes, we are seeing interest and commitment from state governments, but what we would like during this 16 days campaign period is more commitment from state governments to fund the SACs, to resource the SACs, and to fully embed sexual assault referral center services into the response mechanism of the state. We want to see more collaboration and coordination amongst the different agencies, institutional mechanisms who have a responsibility to respond or to provide justice for victims of or survivors of sexual assault.
I find it interesting that you say you're saying interest, but you could need more funding. You know, you want them to support it with funding. So what sort of interest are you then seeing on the part of state government?
Well, to be fair, when we started in 2013, only 1 center was established in Nigeria. And as a result of the interest shown by other states, we now have 15 centers spread across 11 states across the country, with the newest one being Anambra State. States like Imo, states like Plateau, states like Cross River are also showing interest. The FCT is also looking to establish a sexual assault referral center. So conversations are ongoing, interest is being shown, and my program will be able to provide that technical support to see them to the point where they actually have centers established. Also, even the states that already have one center are looking to establish more so that they have facilities that can serve a larger population rather than just having all the population going towards one place.
Rape is still a big issue, and trying to get justice in the courts can be a little daunting. From when you report the case of rape to the first responders, we understand in this case Nigeria Police is the first responder. There are questions as to whether they now have the requisite training to be able to receive cases of reported rape, because we understand that there ought to be specialized reception of those kinds of cases, and then preserving evidence for what you need in court. How do you think that matters like this should proceed? Should we be challenging some of the activism to the courts as well?
Yeah, thank you so much. Actually, the laws have provided for all of this. It provided for coordination mechanism. It's not a one agency work alone. In NAPTIP, we actually implement the Violence Against Person Prohibition Act, where issues of rape is extensively there. Has been criminalized, and it is the punishment for rape there is life imprisonment. We are working with Nigerian police because they are generally mentioned as well in the act, as well as other law enforcement agencies such as civil defense. So we work together, and people report cases to NAPTIP, and even today we received not less than 5 cases reported to us today, dwelling on rape and sexual assault, including violence in the home places. What we do is to ensure that we, first of all, rescue the victim from the center or from the crime scene, And luckily enough, in NAPTIP, we have a shelter where we can actually, take this person who has been violated and take the person to the shelter where she can, actually get some psychosocial support, because those victims get traumatized. And in most cases, they can really not tell the entire story they have to tell. So when we put them in the shelter, they will cool off and they start telling us what really happened to them. And remind you, some of these things even happen in family circle. Either the father commit rape, maybe that is what is called incest, or even uncles, all that is. What these vulnerable people go through in home environment is so horrific, So what we do is to get their confidence for them to be able to tell us the story or how it happened to them. So most of them give us graphic story, which we take in our statement. That is going to be an evidence we can use in court, Then it is also vital for us to get medical report. So the sexual assault referral center she talked about is going to be a very useful tool for us in NAPTIP, because you see, it is a one-stop platform where we have nurses, we have social workers, we have even legal lawyers who can aid and assist some of these victims. Because usually, when they discover that they cannot really get justice, they chicken out, because of delay. Once there's delay, particularly within a year, you cannot get justice, they lose interest. And when we call them again, they are not interested. So that is why we are doing this networking. It's not just for NAPTIP alone. We are working with a lot of NGOs,
Have you received the criticism that you're too centralized, that NAPTIP is too... Yes, I know that one of the reasons why this is being housed in NAPTIP is because you have branches in the different states of the federation. However, they are still seen as a federal government agency. Have you received the criticism that you are too centralized for this?
Yeah, the criticism will not be fair, because we try hard to really reach out, to all relevant stakeholders. We know we cannot do it alone. We don't want to say we approach it from the whole of society and whole of government, because we can't do it alone. Even the law specifies that you must work with others, So we are working with all stakeholders, even though we have the branches. This law, this register in itself is central in the sense that whatever information we get from other agencies, they may have theirs, particularly the states you mentioned, Lagos, Ekiti, and maybe Cross River, they have their own register, but then the one that NAPTIP is monitoring, is centralized. We are supposed to put it there and be able to share it among all relevant agencies for the purpose of prosecution, for the purpose of, to get a feedback from the society. So we are doing everything we can, but we are actually campaigning to all Nigerians, because they really need to buy into this, effort.
Mr. SHAIBU,
okay.
Do you foresee any challenges to this in a court of law? Let me give you an instance. So only recently, sometime this year, a famous case broke out between, a famous photographer and also a famous pastor. Assuming that case had come up before the launch of this, happened after the launch of this register, would it have been recorded in the register? Sure.
In any case, like we explained, there are stages of reporting in the register. The one that is open to the public and those one that is only open to the law enforcement agencies for purpose of intelligence sharing. For instance, the case you mentioned, if it had come up, maybe under the Violence Against Persons Act 2015, maybe the matter will have been in court by now and they will trash it out. In any case, you are right, because once you allege or you prepare a charge against someone and you file it, you are supposed to prove it beyond reasonable doubt. And if you cannot prove it beyond reasonable doubt, the court will throw it out. It's in any case, even if you discover that maybe the court maybe did not do justice, we can appeal. Or they, on the other hand, can also appeal if they were convicted. So the legal processes and procedures are there. But for us, we are mindful of all these legal technicalities. So that's why we are cautious.
The point being that, assuming this happened a long time ago in the latest story.
Yes.
Now, if that is the case, can people who experienced this a long time ago come forward today and say, perhaps there is a way to justice now, would like to report our matter? Do you see them, those matters being recorded in the register?
No. In any case, there's no end to, there's no duration for any criminal act. Even if it happened 100 years ago, once evidence is available, you can still proceed against the person under the law. But what is, the law also says there's no retroactive law, meaning that if there's a law that you can put people into register and the law came into being, like we mentioned earlier, 2015, you cannot put that person there because it's from 2015 that we can put people in the register. So it's not retroactive.
But do you foresee any challenges to people challenging the fact that we've only been reported, it's an allegation against us? It's not been proven, and as such, you can't just have our names as people who,
even if their names
are being named and shamed, so to speak.
If their names are there, it is just there for record purposes. We are not going to use it maybe to say we are using it against them. We are just saying that if a matter is reported against you, and if anyone wants information, was this person, please, we don't want to know about this person's background. Was he ever reported to you over issues of sexual violence?
Considering the fact that is a problem, do you understand what I'm trying to say?
Follow.
Assuming, for the fact that this can be used against you when you're seeking work, maybe, for instance, you're a man looking for work in a children's school, and we've seen cases, I think only recently, a 60-year-old, middle-aged man was convicted for 60 years in Lagos for allegedly raping a 2-year-old. Assuming a background check had been done and his name was there, and it was just a mention, it is not something that he's been convicted. Would you say that it is fair grounds?
For us, if you want it and you apply to us, we said we can share with you. It depends on what you want to make use of the information. You may still go ahead and employ the person. It is left to you. But the point is that you want to know if it happened. It's like it's a fact. We cannot deny the fact that it happened. So I just tell you that this was a fact. Simple story. So for the other ones, if you are convicted, that one is simplicity, no doubt about it. But once you are reported, we just tell you the fact.
So 15 centers is what we currently have. How many are we looking to have across the country?
One in every state, at least one center, one sexual assault referral center in every state.
How effective would that be when you look at the grassroots? The fact that a lot of these things could go unreported at the bottom, and the fact that, Nigeria is a huge expanse of land.
So I think that we can leverage on the structures that exist already. At the grassroots, we have primary healthcare centers, and we can model those primary healthcare centers in a way that offer SARC services or services that are similar to what the SACs offer. You have secondary, at the secondary level, you also have healthcare provided at the secondary level and tertiary. And you can drill down to the grassroots from tertiary up to primary healthcare to see that the primary healthcare systems at the grassroots serve the public in a way that models after the services that the SACs provide. The SACs themselves are a solution to an existing problem. If we had state-funded hospitals and facilities that offered those services in the first place and were coordinating with all the other response agencies, then you wouldn't need a SAC at all. The reason SACs exist is because the system doesn't function as effectively as it should, and the different response agencies are not responding in a coordinated and collaborative manner. So the SACs themselves are not the solution. The solution is to look at what structures exist across different levels of society and across the different sectors of society. Mr. SHAIBU spoke to multi-agency, multi-sector cross-coordination before, and I think that that's the answer, that police should be coordinating with the healthcare systems, with hospitals. Hospitals should be coordinating with social welfare systems. Cases of rape against minors, for instance, you know, what kind of process should kick in? What's the referral pathway? What's the response mechanism? You know, what kind of mechanism should be in place on their own without the existence of a SAC, responding to these things as a matter of what should be done.
So we have 16 days of activism right now. How do we ensure that after the 16 days, all talk around this doesn't die until the next time when we're talking about women's rights or, you know, feminism, maybe until the month of March when it's Women's Month. And sometimes maybe that's not even the issue that comes up first, because there are many issues around, well, not just women, because some people also say that this is gender-based violence. It's not just about women, even though we know that the major demographic is women, and the major demographic affected are women. How do we ensure that this is kept on the front burner, not just by state governments showing interest now, but actually doing something meaningful and tangible, so that the next time we'll say, yes, we've made progress?
I think that it's a long road from beginning to end, and people should just start somewhere, start where you are. The campaign itself is just a spotlight or a snapshot of a series of events that have been initiated from many years before, and that we hope will continue even beyond the campaign. We will continue to engage with state governments and try and ensure that whatever approach any state is taking to responding or addressing sexual and gender-based violence is a coordinated one. We will also continue to try to address the fact that the kind of legislation that supports the protection of women, or any citizen for that matter, is enacted at the state level. Not only enacted, it's implemented. And that the kind of commitment in terms of funding, in terms of resources that governments need to put into this issue in order to ensure that it's a sector-wide approach. We also will continue to ensure that that happens. And we're working with as many stakeholders as possible.
What kind of impact are you hoping? Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah. We're almost out of time. What kind of impact are you hoping this sex offenders will have, if you can, in 30 seconds?
Yeah, it is going to serve as serious deterrent. You know, we believe that once it comes into effect, it is going to be very effective, and anyone who would like to, engage in perpetrating this crime, once you zip down, you zip up. You know, it will serve as deterrent to you.
Well, you heard them. We've been speaking with Toyosi GIWA and Mr. Abdulrahim SHAIBU. Both of you, thank you for coming on Hard Copy tonight, and all the best in your campaign efforts. That's where we leave the program tonight. Do be a part of efforts to end gender-based violence wherever you find yourself. If you're doing something already, let us know what you're doing. Share your stories, feedback, and comments using the handles showing on your screen. I'm Maokwe Ogunyusuf. Good night.